Friends, at this time we are going to begin the funeral services for Jan S. Rothschild. If you have a cell phone or a pager, I would ask for you to take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. Officiating today's services will be Cantor Lori Akers from Congregation Or Shalom. And as we begin the service today, the cantor will lead the family in the tradition of Kriya.
This song of mine will wind its music around you like the fond arms of love. The song of mine will touch your forehead like the kiss of a blessing. When you are alone, it will sit by your side and whisper in your ear. When you are in a crowd, it will fence you about with aloofness. My song will be like a pair of wings to your dreams. It will transport your heart to the verge of the unknown. It will be like the faithful star overhead when dark night is over your road. My song will sit in the pupils of your eyes and will carry your sight into the heart of things. And when my voice is silenced in death, my song will speak in your living heart. Baruchim Habaim, welcome. We have joined here this afternoon to honor the life of Jan Rothschild and to join our hearts together to give comfort to all of those who knew and loved her. As her passing was certainly unanticipated and far too soon, it can make this process and this transition particularly difficult. Yet when we measure the quality of a life, it is not measured in the length of time, but within the richness of the life that was lived. And she taught us that the true measure of life well lived lies in the positive impact we leave on the world and the legacy in which we create. Jen dedicated her life to caring for and to advocating for others. She was fiercely dedicated to her family, the epitome of a loving mother, wife, grandmother. She spent her days supporting her family through love and time well spent, and spending even more of her days telling Ed to clean up any number of areas in the house that he continuously kept messy throughout their 47 years of marriage. Jan had an extraordinary ability to make everyone around her feel cherished and valued. She always put the needs of her loved ones before her own, offering a comforting presence and a wise counsel whenever it was needed. So to you, Ed and Michael and Danny, Bridget, Karen, Olivia, Logan, and Henry, please accept my condolences for your profound loss, for our profound loss. And may the love that you feel in this room bring you comfort during this time and throughout your days of mourning. Memory is a faculty which enables us to make the past a present reality and to keep alive the moments that we experienced throughout the years that we were privileged to share with Jan. We're going to begin our services with the recitation of Psalm 23, linking Jan's life with the tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. And you can find this psalm on page 23. We read together, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." And in looking at this psalm, we focus on that second paragraph, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of the death, I will fear no evil." As right now, we are certainly in that valley of darkness right now, but with the love and support of everyone in this room, we will be able to see the light together as we walk through that valley. And I'm going to share a Hebrew interpretation of Psalm 23. Adonai roi lo aksar, b'not asher b'tzeini, al mi menuchot yenachaleni. Yenachaleni, nafshi shovev, yanchini v'magle tzedek, l'ma'an shmo, gam ki elech b'getz al mavet. Lo ira ra, ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lifanai, shulkan neged sorerai, tishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi rivaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni, כל ימי חיי, ושנתי בבית אדוני, לאורך המים. לא יירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. I am now going to invite Jen's beloved husband, Edward, to share some personal reflections. Up here, yeah, right here. Okay. There's water here if you need it. Kleenex if you need it.
Ah, okay. Thank you. I want to say thank you for all who came. I really appreciate it. My family really appreciates it. It's nice to see such an outpouring of love and support. It helps. It truly does. I can't sum up my feelings for a woman I've known for 49 years and been married to for 47 years in just a few minutes. I can say that I loved her for 2/3 of my life and that I will miss her terribly. But in a larger sense, she will live on for a long time, as those she loved and those who loved her and those she helped continue to live. She helped a lot of people, and she did it quietly, but she was a social worker for the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services for many years in an elite child abuse protection unit. It was always kind of strange because when they answered the phone in that unit, they would say, "Good morning, child abuse." And I always thought that was a strange way to answer the phone. But I was a prosecutor in the juvenile court, and the social workers would bring us cases to look at and then eventually to prepare for trial. And we first met when she brought me a case, and we sat down in a conference room, and she was telling me about the case, and I said, this is very complicated. Why don't we talk about it at dinner? And she looked at me, and she said, "I'll have dinner with you, but we will talk about the case right now." And that was 47 years ago. I never got the upper hand. It was a nightmare job. Both of our jobs were nightmare jobs. Every time my unit lost a case, a child died. We lost 4 cases in 7.5 years, and 4 children died. She literally saved the lives of more than 100 kids in that job. Her preparation, everything is preparation in that job. We went in well prepared, well documented, well prepared, knowing exactly what was going on. And her unit and her preparation was just really terrific. And it was meticulous. My team never lost a case that she was involved in 7.5 years. So she agreed to marry me. I'm sure that's why, because later she was a school worker, starting as a recess lady and ending up doing work with special needs kids and helping them. And when her professional life ended, she still spent a lot of time visiting the sick and distressed friends and relatives. She took joy in bringing a smile to people who she felt were suffering. She was a loving wife, a mother, an aunt, a friend. She was proud of her 2 sons and of her 2 daughters-in-law and of her 3 wonderful grandchildren. Both of her sons married very special women. More like daughters to her than daughters-in-law. She often said that my 2 sons gave me 2 daughters that I never had, and I mean I felt the same way, but I couldn't express it the way she did. Our 2 daughters-in-law are really you couldn't ask for better. Both Michael and Danny, my 2 sons, lived lives of service to other people. Michael is very involved in a lot of things he'll talk about later, but and my son Danny is a senior person helping people in medical school negotiate the loans that they need to get into school. And both of them are very good at doing a very difficult job. Neither one of which I could do, because I couldn't keep it straight, and I'm terrible at math. So, Suni believed in helping others and was proud of her sons because they helped others. And this is God's work. She didn't join committees. She went out into the world and lived a life of actually helping other people. She gave to Alzheimer's research. She gave to the Jewish United Fund. She gave to the Red Cross and other charities. But mostly she gave of her time to directly help people. Moses, Jesus, the Prophet Muhammad all preached the need to love and help those in our community who need help, and that all people are part of our community. The children of Abraham, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, have a duty to love and to help our brothers and sisters, and the prophets taught us that all people fit into that category. Thanks to these and other teachers of God's commandments, that word has become part of our human culture. Not that we always listen, and that we always do what we know we should do because we've been taught, but we know that we can make the world a better place. Be kind to all people, to animals, to our planet itself. Forget about hating what we perceive as different. Love others as we love ourselves. Help those who need help as we would want to be helped in our hour of need. She did that. She lived that way. She helped. She gave of her money and of her time. She loved. She will be missed, but in the best way to mourn her is to act as she acted, to show love and concern for those around you. And if everyone does that, we will do God's work and help heal the world, and she would be proud that we were thinking of her if we did it. So I thank you. I thank you too.
Thank you, Ed, for your beautiful reflections. I'm now going to invite one of Jan's sons, Michael, to share a few thoughts as well. Please.
In the realms of religion and thought, pride is considered to be a less than desirable trait. It's often called the essence of all sin. It goeth before destruction. Confucius said it is the opposite of dignified ease. Proverbs 11 says it brings disgrace, and on and on. With all due respect to the great theologians and philosophers, my mom was not about any of that. Jan Rothschild was a fiercely proud woman. She took pride in her home, her gardens, in cleanliness and order. She didn't want people fussing about her business. She kept her complaints to herself, and if she didn't, you probably earned it. She took pride in her work, first in helping children through unimaginably hard times as a social worker, then being a school aide. She was even proud of her husband, even if that was another thing she kept to herself. But most of all, she was deeply proud of her sons and her grandchildren. She was proud we went into the world and made lives for ourselves, proud that she taught us well enough that sometimes we just had to handle things on our own without calling mom. She was proud we each married wonderful women. She was proud of her 3 grandchildren and their enthusiastic steps into each new stage. She proudly watched our older son Logan's baseball games on an app on her phone, complimenting his great at-bats and his hustle to steal bases, even one time after he'd gotten plunked in the head with a fastball. She was proud of our younger son Henry's dance moves and the incredible things he said as he tried to process the world around him. She was proud of Danny and his upward career trajectory. And she was proud of me as I built a career in journalism, became an expert in the fringe beliefs and conspiracy theories that so trouble our world, published my first books, testified to Congress, and went on live TV. She would ask me over and over, could you ever see yourself doing this? Not because she thought I couldn't do it, but because she knew that I could. The last time my mom saw me, I didn't see her. 2 Fridays ago, I'd gotten an email to go on CNN and talk for a few minutes about some nonsense going on in the conspiracy world. I only had a few hours between the invitation and when I had to get ready. A process she always asked me about because, hey, her son was on TV. Can you see who you're talking to? No, because there's a time delay. Do you get nervous? Not really. Do they tell you what questions they're going to ask? No, I don't want them to. It was all special to her, even the minutia of the process that I'd long since gotten used to. She wanted to know everything. That day was also the day after Henry's birthday, and we were in the midst of a very chaotic few days. She called me as we were getting the boys ready for bed and before I did my TV hit. It was loud and crazy. We didn't get to talk much. The next day was Henry's birthday party. 15 screaming kids, a slip and slide, and a very large cake. The day after, as you can imagine, we rested. I didn't call my mom to ask if she saw me because I knew she did. And she didn't have to tell me she was proud of me because I knew she was, because she always was. The last week is fuzzy, and the months ahead are scary. I've only lived a few days not having a mom, and so far it's not great. But for everything I don't know, I do know that wherever she is, whoever she's hanging out with in the great beyond, she's telling them that at some point her son is going to be on TV, and they'd better watch with her. Because to my mom, pride wasn't the sin of a lost soul or the disgrace of an arrogant king. It was the privilege of a loving mother, and it was one she enjoyed to the very last. So goodbye, Mom. I know you will be watching.
Thank you so much, Michael. I know how much pride she took in both of you and in her grandchildren. So I'm now going to ask Danny to share some personal reflections as well.
Those are a couple of tough acts to follow. And I just want to warn everyone now, I am been crying all over the place, so if I start to, please excuse me. But I do want to thank everyone for coming. The love and support we have received has been incredible. To truly see how loved Mom was does bring me some comfort. Anyone who really knew Mom probably knew of our relationship. I was and always will be a mama's boy. You can ask Bridget, she'll tell you all about it. And speaking of Bridget, Mom truly loved you as her own. She was so happy I found my person. The strength you've shown and the love and support you have given not just to me, but to everyone, it amazes me. I love you so very much. And Bubba really loved Olivia. He was so proud of you. It's a great pride in everything you did, and she will continue to do so. You remind me of her in so many ways. That makes me so happy. Mike, Mom was proud of you and all your accomplishments. She always wanted you to do a book signing here at home. It's a hometown boy done good. I hope one day we can make that happen. Karen, Mom loves you too. When Mike moved to California, she was naturally nervous. But once she knew, Mike, that you had found true love and you were welcomed into her family, she knew you were going to be just fine. Mom also took great joy at you being a father to 2 amazing boys, Logan and Henry. She can rest easy watching her 2 sons and her 2 daughters take care of her grandchildren. Dad, Mom loved you very much. She wasn't the most affectionate person, as I'm sure you know, but she did. You certainly drove her crazy with your ability to talk to anyone about literally anything. But you were a team that worked. I promise you, Mom, that we will take care of Dad and we will listen to all of his stories. It was the greatest gift I could have received to be your son for 42 years. I wish I had more time, but I know how incredibly lucky I truly have been. I hope I've made you proud, and I will strive every day to be the son that you loved. Please say hi to Grandma Ray Ray, to Gramps, to Grandma Bunny, to Grandpa Art, to John, to Michael, Felix, and Sunchi for us. Knowing you will get to meet Bridget's mom, Candy, makes me very happy. Please tell her that I will meet her one day and that Bridget is one amazing person, that you should be incredibly proud of her. I wanted to wrap up with just a little story. Mom would ask me all the time, about work and how it was going, and I always tell her, it was going fine, don't worry, everything's good. So sometimes she would kind of joke with me. She would ask if I have her picture yet up in my office, because I'm not a big picture person. I have a picture of Bridget and Olivia, but not a big picture person. My answer was always the same. I would point to my heart, tap it, and say, I don't need a picture in my office when your picture is always right here. Oh, Mom, your picture and memory will always be right here. I love you. Thank you.
Danny, I want to thank you. I know that was not easy, but thank you to all of you for sharing your beautiful and heartfelt reflections. I'm now going to call on a very beloved friend of Jan's, Denise Floss.
This just sucks. It just sucks. This wasn't supposed to happen. But it did. Okay. Many of us have so many treasured memories of Jan. I'd like to share just a few of mine to honor my friend of over 40 years. Eddie and my dad were basically opposites, but they became good friends right from the start. They both loved to talk. When we met Jan, there was an instant friendship formed. Interestingly enough, their son Michael became good friends with my brother, David, as well, and we'd all go trick-or-treating together for Halloween. Eddie, Jan, and my parents joined a bowling league together. I'd watch the boys at either of our houses. Basically, I'd watch TV while the boys played G.I. Joe, Transformers, or built forts. Jan and Eddie were like family from the start. They were never Mr. and Mrs. Rothschild, and it wasn't disrespectful to simply call them Eddie and Jan. They looked out for us. I connected more with Jan as I got older. We both loved General Hospital. We'd gossip about these fictional characters and then the people who played them, especially with the facelifts. Oy, sorry. We would celebrate New Year's Eve together Jan always made my all-time favorite dessert, her chocolate eclair cake. She's been there for my mom and me in the bad times and the good times. If there's a word to best describe the type of person she was, I'd have to say unconditionally loyal. She's so loyal to her friends and family. She's not dramatic or mushy. She's pretty reserved and didn't make a big deal about things. She'd help me relax and calm down because I was a little bit of the opposite and kind of freaked out about everything, especially when I was younger. She was one out of 5 people my mom and I had over during the first several months of the pandemic before the vaccine came out. She'd pick up breakfast or lunch, and we'd space apart and talk for hours. The point is, Jan was family to me, basically like my godmother. I could tell her anything, too, and truly trusted her. Jan, I'm going to miss you so very much, it's inconceivable. I'm going to miss our weekly, nightly, back-to-forth, instant message chatting, sending you dash hound video clips, especially talking about Broadway with you and what we would pick probably to see next in Chicago, not to mention Hugh Jackman and Neil Patrick Harris. I'm so glad that we were able to see Wicked and Hamilton together. I remember when you convinced my mom to get tickets. What a surprise that was to me. Life's not easy for anybody, and Jan had her share of sorrow. But I know, and I think everybody here knows, how much she adored her family. Sometimes we'd go out with Bridget and Olivia, and nothing made her happier. Seriously, when she talked about her kids and her grandkids, she'd always smile. Today the lights are dim on Broadway, my dear friend. I know the show will go on, though, and every time I hear those catchy and wonderful show tunes, I'll think of you. And if you're listening, this is going to sound corny, but you knew I was going to do it. Jan, because we all knew you, we've been changed for good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Denise, for sharing your words. That is a perfect song to think of when we think of Jan. Because we knew her, all of our lives have been changed for good, for sure. So when I met with Jan's family just a few days ago, there was a theme that consistently surfaced throughout our conversations, and one that has certainly carried on throughout today's service. That her life was defined by helping and being there for others. This passion developed at a very young age. She attended Bradley University as a sociology major, soon after accepting a position, as Ed shared, at the Illinois Department of Child and Family Services in their elite child abuse division. And as you mentioned, Ed, this is when the two of you met. And you had this beautiful exchange together. And that evening together, in which you first discussed the case and then went to dinner, turned into 47 years of marriage. When Jan became pregnant with Michael, their growing family moved to Vernon Hills. This time also marked the beginning of their relationship with Congregation or Shalom. Their family of 3 grew into a family of 4 with the arrival of Danny, and Jan had spent her days caring for her children. As Michael and Danny grew, Jan took on a job that was consistent with her lifelong dedication to the concern for others, working as a recess lady as well as an assistant for children with special needs, assisting them with their individual education plans, their IEPs. Though busy with both work and family, Jen always made time to be there for others, whether helping families in school or providing support for her own family in times of need. Jan was a fabulous cook and a meticulous housekeeper, a blessing to those who were beneficiaries of her dishes. And the jury is out about whether or not it was a blessing that her family members blitz cleaned their homes, as Danny said, at a moment's notice when they knew that Jan was coming over. And it is my understanding that you excelled in one area in the kitchen that Jan did not, and that is the art of burning anything and everything that you cooked. Me too. Jan had wonderful friends and recently joined a mahjong group, which fostered many new friendships and also resulted in her title, the Mahjong Queen. Above all else, Jan felt profound love and pride for her family. Michael, you shared that as a mother, she took such pride in you, and Danny, and the 2 of you, and that she was baffled when you struggled in any way. I mean, how could her sons not be good at absolutely everything? She took pride in your accomplishments. She took screenshots of your TV appearances and kept photos from your days in the theater. Danny, you mentioned that you and your mom were so close and had so much in common. The 2 of you were Cubs fans, while Michael and your dad were Sox fans. Danny, do with that what you will. Danny, she was your texting partner during Bears games. You said that you knew just how to make your mom laugh, and you did so often. You mentioned the story that you had shared about the picture in your office. These very valuable words that certainly take on new meaning now, and a sentiment that will stay true eternally, that yes, her picture will indeed live in your heart and in the hearts of all of your family as well. Karen and Bridget, Jan's 2 daughters-in-law, you both mentioned what an amazing Bubba was to Olivia, to Henry, and to Logan, as well as how close she was and respected both of you. Ed, you shared that she was a wonderful wife, always helping you to stay true to your word as well as to your commitments. And when asked about what values she instilled in your family, each of you said, keeping your word, following through with commitments, and going far and beyond to help others were values that she lived. Today, as we recall memories of Jan through our reflections, and we recognize that there will be a void in your lives, we also affirm that her passing does not mean her end. Her memory will continue to live on in our minds, in our hearts. And as we engage in life's precious moments, whether spending time with your children, with your grandchildren, whether burning something in the kitchen, watching a Bears game or a Cubs game, or even if you, for whatever reason, watch a Sox game, you can look to Jan's memory with gratitude and blessing. And I know that I will personally miss Jan's regular presence at Shabbat services at Or Shalom. Jan's life was a testament to the power of love and selflessness and dedication, and her memory will continue to endure inside of all of us. As we move forward, Jan, we carry your spirit with us. We emulate your compassion, spread kindness, and cherish every moment in honor of your memory. May you rest in eternal peace, dear Jan, knowing that you have left an indelible mark on this world, and that as Danny reminded us, you will continue to live right here in our hearts. We are now going to ask everybody to rise for the traditional memorial prayer. El Malay Rachamim, we find the English translation at the bottom of the first page. As we recite this prayer El Malay Rachamim, we request comfort and peace and eternal solace in Jan's resting place. We read together. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and the pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Jan S. Rothschild, who is gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life, be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. Amen. And we stay standing, and I am going to chant in a Hebrew setting of El Malay Rachamim. El Malay Rachamim, Shochin Bamromim, Hamseim Nuchana, Tachat Kanfei Hashkina, Im Krushim Utorim, Kizohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Jan Rothschild, She'archa Le'ulama, Ba'al Harachamim, Astirecha B'seiter Kinafecha Le'ulamim, Ve'yitzor Met nishmata Adonai Unacharata V'tanuach b'shalom b'shalom Al mishkava v'nomar Amen. You may be seated. We're going to close our service in a very special way this afternoon in a manner that was so meaningful to Jan. As I mentioned, Jan and Ed, you have been longtime members of Congregation Or Shalom, and I know that it was the music at Or Shalom that she was particularly connected to, particularly the guitar playing of our president of Congregation Or Shalom, who also happens to be one of the funeral directors of Chicago Jewish Funerals. We are very lucky at Congregation Or Shalom. And so this is something that I know Ed, Michael, Danny, Bridget, Karen, you all felt is something that would be really meaningful to continue to carry on her memories. So we are going to sing together these words of Osa Shalom, a prayer of peace. We wish peaceful rest for Jan's soul. We also wish for peace and solace in our own hearts. Osa Shalom Bimrama, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu Eloheinu Avraham Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Thank you, Jeremy Seaver.
And friends, this concludes our services here in the chapel. The interment and burial service will continue at Shalom Memorial Park in Arlington Heights. For those of you traveling with us to the cemetery and the funeral procession, please keep the following safety precautions in mind. Please make sure your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashers are on at all times. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker for your windshield, and we will be providing several of the cars in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in the procession. And for your own safety and security, I would suggest not speaking or texting while driving to the cemetery. And as we make our way through the intersections, please feel free to use your horn liberally as we go through those intersections. The family will be together at the Rothschild residence at 16 Monterey Drive in Vernon Hills, and they will be sitting Shiva today and tomorrow, so Monday and Tuesday from 6 until 9 p.m. And the family has also requested that any memorial contributions in her memory to congregation or Shalom. That information, again, with the information for Shiva, is available in the service folder that you should have received when you came into the chapel. And if you did not receive one when you came in, we do have those for you as you leave. And that information is also available to those of you joining us online on our website. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise and stand in place. And if you've been asked by the family to serve as a pallbearer, to please come forward at this time as we escort the clergy, the family, and the casket. Thank you.
It's true. She came more often after she nothing against Rabbi Ari, but she knew that Rabbi Ari was going to be that she would always expect. Oh, welcome.